Hey, there are some people who get after it because their belief and confidence in themselves is just so high. And then there are those who just need that extra push, someone to lean on until their confidence is elevated. Then they have that faith. And if you're that latter person, listen, stay tuned because my guest today will inspire you. And sometimes that's all we need. But if you're that first person who already has it, hey, listen, you can always learn from somebody else. We don't have it all, right? But anyway, faith is about action. And my guest, Dr. Joe Cannon, is an entrepreneur, pastor, financial literacy coach, and most importantly, a servant leader with that knack for turning vision into reality. So let's just say from the start that Dr. Joe Cannon knew he was not built for that 9-to-5 grind. You see, while most high school students were figuring out how to avoid homework, he was busy cutting hair and building his empire one fade at a time. That's right. That side hustle that he started turned into a full-fledged barbershop. Then 7 more. So he had a total of 8 barbershops. Listen, just when things were looking as sharp as that lineup he was cutting, COVID-19 threw him a curveball. And like any great leader, rather than being defeated, Dr. Joe Cannon pivoted, using his teaching skills to educate people across the nation on financial literacy, just further solidifying his mission to serve others. So in this conversation here, Dr. Joe Cannon gets real about how his faith actually fuels his leadership, how he juggles ministry and entrepreneurship without losing his mind. Because that sometimes happens when you just have a lot going on. But he also talks about why serving others is that secret sauce to success. Because his resilience actually helped him turn setbacks into comebacks. And trust me, you're gonna want to hear this. So just buckle up because this conversation right here is packed with wisdom, faith, and a good dose of inspiration. So let's get into it. By the way, this conversation's already in progress. Let's go.
You're doing so much. You start your barbershop years ago, and now you got like multiple locations. You teaching financial literacy. Y'all all over the globe.
That's
From
right.
the East Coast to the West Coast. But more importantly, man, you serving also, man. But
Yes.
how did this come together?
But all of it or one in particular, all
I
of
mean,
it?
like when you were a youngster, did you
Yes.
ever know that you were gonna be an entrepreneur? Did you have like that entrepreneurial spirit?
Yes. Yeah. When I was young, I'll say about 9 years old. I'll never forget. You used to have those Olympic sales clubs magazines come to the house and they had these items in there. If you want it, you got to go
Yeah.
out and sell so many items. And so
Right.
I would go door to door with my neighbors and asking them to buy certain things because I knew if I get to Z, I could
Yeah.
get all those items that was in that Olympic Sales Club book. And the feeling of getting my prize felt good, and so I think that was the start of it. And then me selling, trying to making some money and things like that, not going to the drug route, but I used to be selling candy at school and all kind of stuff, and saving my money up. And so I always had the entrepreneurial spirit. I started working at 15 years old at Blockbuster and I did some construction work. I coached kids. I worked at FedEx, did security guard. But every job I had, I only kept it for about 3 to 5 months.
Did you-
Yes, I worked at 7 Up. I just realized, I couldn't work for nobody. I didn't like the fact of being told, go over here or do this. When you finish your job, now you got to go and do this. I just
Yeah,
was like, man, working ain't for me. And so I quit and went to barber college, and the rest has been history.
man.
Yeah.
When you said, when you mentioned those magazines, I remember those magazines back in the day. I remember those.
Yeah.
But I remember my first job. Uh, I was in the 8th grade, and I had a paper route, and I was like, and I did it because of the money initially, because I just wanted some money, and just kind of growing up in a single family household, money was scarce. And so it's like, if you want something, you need to go out and hustle and get it.
That's
And
right.
so I just remember, just having to get up like at, 4 o'clock in the morning, folding newspapers, putting them
Yeah.
in my bag, throwing a bag on the handlebars of my bike and just getting
Come on.
it. And I had to do that every day before school. But, you just That
It's definitely not going to just come to you. You know, that's
yeah,
another thing. My parents had me in the yard early, so I used to lawnmower and weed eat and trim hedges and all that kind of stuff. So once I started driving, my mom and them had a van. So I started putting my lawnmower in the van, and I would go to people's houses and cut grass for $50, $60 and make money that way as well. So again, I always had that entrepreneurial spirit. I tell people I'm a service entrepreneur.
yeah.
You know, when it involves service, you could pretty much count me in.
There you go.
Yep.
So
And
what?
it entwines with all the things that I have going on now. You know, it's
Yeah,
everything that I have going on right now is the foundation of it is around service.
yeah, it is. And
Yep.
so what made you go the barber route?
Well, I started cutting hair at 15 years old when I was in Oakland at going to Frick Junior High School, which is of course at that time junior high wasn't middle school, but you couldn't go to Frick with a bad haircut. And so I started cutting my own hair because I didn't want my uncle and them cutting it or whatever. So I started cutting my own hair, and pretty soon it was so good. People were asking me who cut my hair, and it went from there. You know, I said I
Yeah,
did. Then it got to the point of me charging $5 for haircuts, and
yeah.
it went from there. But I never had the dream of being a barber per se in a barbershop because in my mind, I'm like, I'm a mover and a shaker. I can't
Uh-huh.
be stuck behind one chair all day.
Yeah,
I just didn't see it. I was like,
yeah.
man, I can't. And so I didn't want to be a barber. I had dreams of being, making it to the NFL, getting a lot of money
Uh-huh.
and going that route, paying my mom house and all that kind of stuff. That was my dreams and goals, but not barbering.
Yep.
And so anyhow, I'd be cutting in the backyard at my mama's house, and she say, "Boy, you need to go to barber college." I'm like, "Man, I ain't about to go to barber school. I ain't about to be no barber."
Yeah.
That was my response.
Yeah.
You know? Yep.
Yeah, I just remember those days also, man, just me and the boys cut our own hair, just cutting each other's hair for free. Nobody didn't want to pay the barber price. So we're like, man, why don't you cut my hair? I cut your hair. We hook
Yeah.
it up. Even though we had those jacked up fades, we're just like, we,
Had them bowl cuts. that blunt line in there.
but we saved a ton of money cutting each other's hair though.
Yeah, definitely.
But now how is like just your faith and your vision as a pastor, entrepreneur, and leader across, just these different industries, how has that impacted your life?
It impacted a whole lot. I mean, because that's the foundation. One of my favorite scriptures is Psalms 1. And Psalms 1 says, "Blessed is a man that walketh not in the way of the ungodly, nor
Yeah.
standeth in the seat of the scornful, nor sitteth nor standeth in the seat of the scornful, nor look, I can't even remember it now. Nor standeth in the seat of the scornful, but delights in the law of the Lord, and doeth he meditate both day and night," right? And the Bible says that he should be planted like a tree by a river of water. That tree will always have something to pull from because it's right by the water.
Yeah.
And then it says that whatever he do it shall prosper. Whatever he touch shall prosper. And so with my faith in God and knowing that and lining my life up with the ways of God, not saying I'm perfect because I make mistakes, right? But for the most part, just lining up everything I'm doing, putting God first, God kept blessing everything I started touching. And so as I kept touching it and kept keeping God first, it just kept on developing one after another.
Yeah.
From the barbershops, from the financial business, from real estate, everything I got involved in just start paying off.
Yeah. And I like that I like that passage. And then how you just talked about how everything that you start touching, because I think there's that misunderstanding where people who believe, they feel like sometimes all they have to do is just read a scripture, and then pray without taking any type of action. And so when you think about just that mindset, how important is just having that mindset of, okay, God has given me this vision. Now I must take some action to carry out this vision. Otherwise nothing's going to happen. I just can't be waiting.
Yeah, that's that part. It's very important because the Bible says faith without works is dead. You can't just say you have faith and don't put forth the works. The works that you put forth show the faith that you have. And
Right.
so if I'm gonna have faith that I'm gonna open up this shop, if I'm gonna have faith that I'm gonna get shops every other so year, I gotta put some work behind what I'm doing to work towards that faith. And then when you see the vision come real, it
Right.
does nothing but boost your faith up even more because you see it became real. The
Right.
thing is, a lot of times, like I started off with one shop in the year 2002,
Uh-huh.
right? 2003, I believe. But in 2007, got another shop. 2009, got another shop. 2013, got another shop, and kept on going, right? And
Right.
so some clients would come and say, "Man, are how does it feel? How did it feel? Are you surprised or this and that?" No, I'm not surprised. I was excited when I got the vision
Yeah.
instead of it when it came. So I was more excited about what I knew was coming. But when it came, I was excited, but I was even way more excited when I already seen the vision type thing.
Yeah.
So keeping my faith, keep on stepping and knowing that it's gonna work out. And then when it worked out, it did nothing but strengthen my faith for the next vision.
Yeah. And when it comes to like scripture and stuff, I know it's really important just to know it for yourself. So you can
Yes.
always have something to reflect on and go back to. And I know like one of my favorite ones is it comes from Hebrews 12, where it talks about discipline.
Uh-huh.
Discipline could be painful in the beginning, but however, it produces a harvest of righteousness to those who have been trained by it. And so
Yeah.
it's like you got to put in that work. You just think about like any type of athlete and then that mindset that they have, and the sacrifices that you end up having to make just to get to where it is that you want to be. Sometimes it's not going to be easy, but it's
Yep.
definitely a place where we have to rely on God. And like when you think about your sacrifices, just with your own personal, whether it's like money or just time,
Yeah.
how did you manage that?
But sacrifice as far as time.
Yeah, time and
Well,
money.
I would say with time, sports taught me a lot. Played football since I was 8 years old, all the way through. So all the way to college. I even got a scholarship through playing football. But the discipline of being at practice and working hard, being the starter on the team. I mean, that kind of discipline set in, and the teamwork and everything, being a team captain and everything. So a lot of things that I learned from playing sports, I just carried on into business or carried on in my life, and so that's where that discipline came in. So then that time was set aside specifically for working out.
Hmm.
That time was set aside specifically for practice. So the same thing in life now, that discipline taught me that with all what I have going on, set aside some time off my calendar for this. Set
Yeah,
aside some time for that, right? Because
right,
if it ain't on my calendar, a lot of time I'll miss it. So like this today is on my calendar.
right.
Even this is around Christmas, right? So I got some things on my calendar, and if I don't see it, I may not do it. So I got to put it on my calendar and roll with it. The money factor. What was the thing about the money?
Just, I mean, as far as like sacrificing money or, yeah, I mean, just
Oh, okay.
because
There you
people
go.
think that, you just, it costs
Oh yeah,
sometimes,
definitely. So when I was at my barbershop in the city of Fremont, when I first got there, I wasn't owning the shop, right? I was working for a guy, but haircuts at that time was about $12 a cut and $15 a cut. Today, they about 40 and 60 a cut, right? And so during that time, I would cut hair, and my discipline was this. When I get home, I stayed at my parents' house at that time. I was 20 years old, I believe. But when
yeah,
I get home, all my $20, $50 bills, and $100 bills, I will put aside in a safe or somewhere, right?
uh-huh,
Never touch it. But I will only keep my tens, my fives, and my ones in my pocket to start my next day off.
got it.
Then when I go to the shop, make more money, I
Hmm.
have more change, but then them 20s and 50s from that day, I put back in my safe. And I never would count the money. I just stuff it. Boom. Right. And so a year go by, and the guy that owns the shop said he want to sell the shop. And I asked him how much, and he said 15,000. So I went home and I counted up my money, and I
Right.
had 15,000.
Are you serious?
Yep. And so I sacrificed all I had
Yeah.
and bought that shop in Fremont and end up getting as many as 8 barbershops.
Wow.
So what if I didn't take that money, right?
Right.
How
Yeah.
many barbers would have missed out on being barbers? How many of my business partners wouldn't have became business owners had I not sacrificed that 15,000?
Yeah.
You
So you
know,
straight created a legacy.
definitely.
Yep. Sure did.
Yep.
And
Yep.
you implemented a smooth system in there also, just by
Yes,
taking
sir.
all the 20s, 50s, and hundreds,
Yeah.
stuffing them away and not even worrying about it.
And that's another thing too. As I kept going, I kept that same discipline. So, when I had kids, I mean, I ended up having 3 kids and getting into foster care and things. And so every year you got Christmas coming around and you know that, right?
Right.
So as a barber, I start saving $100 every Friday, and that would be my Christmas money. So keeping that discipline, right?
Right.
That's $400 or $500 a month.
That
By the
is.
time Christmas come, you got thousands,
Yeah.
and you probably ain't gonna even use it all. But
Right.
you not hurting, you know.
That's right. That's right.
Man, discipline goes a long way. I remember one of my good friends. He what he said. He used to ride with me. One of my first business partners, right?
Huh.
And when he get to my mom's house with me, it'd be mail. Listen, first thing he always seen me do is grab all my mail, and I open my mail. Whatever was junk, I throw away. But whatever was bills, I get my checkbook and I write the check right then, and I put it right back in the mail.
So,
So he like, you gonna send? He like, you gonna send that already? I said, yeah, I don't like bills. I'm gonna send them right back.
yeah.
You know, and that's just part of the discipline. You know.
Right. That's smooth. Hold on. Let me take a note on that one.
Yep. I don't let mail stack up, man.
Right. Yeah, I can't stand it either. I can't stand it either. I'll just open it up and let me just take care of this real quick and put it in the shredder and good to go. Yeah.
Yeah.
So with being able, I mean, all the stuff you got going on, you know, as a pastor, the barbershops, and then the financial literacy, and also building that business up. How do you like manage your time and your responsibilities, or just prioritizing the time to allocate to each one? Because you got a family also.
Hey, that's the secret ingredient. You know, that's the secret recipe. No, but again, discipline, right?
Yeah.
Discipline, system, right? Have a system. For me, and how it's done. I only cut hair one day a week now. So this is my week. Monday, Tuesday, I'm working the financial business tough.
Yeah.
But also I work out in the morning, Monday, Tuesday mornings, right? And I'll work on my Bible study questions on Monday to have it ready for Wednesday, right? Wednesday come along, you know, I have Bible study that, and Wednesday I'm either working my business financially, or sometime I do go into the shop on Wednesday at one of my shops in the Bay. And I do that like every other week, right? Thursday, I'm at the barbershop from 5:30 in the morning till 12 p.m. So it's very short. And then the rest of the day is mine. So I either do more financial business, helping families, and go from there. Friday is all free. So Friday, I kind of start preparation for the message on Sunday.
Right.
Then Saturday come along. If I didn't do it Friday, I do it Saturday. But if I did do it Friday, I'm still touching it up a little bit on Saturday.
There you go.
And then Sunday come. Now it's time to preach. And week start over, and I do the same thing.
Same thing, huh?
I got something on me right now. I've seen on Facebook. It says consistency is key.
Oh yeah, I see it.
You probably seen it on Facebook. I had to grab that because that's what it is. It's about being consistent. Yep. Consistency, having consistency with what you do. So discipline, working my calendar, sticking to my system, you know?
Right. And that's good, man. And I think one of the main things I heard that just kind of came to mind as you were talking was preparation. Because if you're not prepared, you're not going to be able to execute. But
That's
it's all, I mean, but all of it, you know, it plays, they all have their own individual roles as far as like the consistency, the discipline. But man, just being prepared, because you just never know when it's going to be your time to get called or something.
That's
and
right.
I just remember you sharing a story. was it last weekend when I saw you at the Toys for Tots? You out there,
Uh-huh.
you cutting somebody, cutting the kids' hair for free. Uh, but then you said you had to preach the next day because
Yeah.
somebody else couldn't do it. But it's
Yes.
like if you're not prepared, man, you can't get up in there.
Yes.
You can't play. You can't
Exactly.
participate.
Exactly. And that's the thing. I probably have over, of course, 500 sermons or however written, right? I've been preaching 18 years now. Even I've been pastoring the last 8 years. But by having messages written out, sometimes you can go back and kind of tweak some, but sometimes God don't allow you and you got to get a whole new brand new message. So
Yeah.
it does work like that. And the thing with the preparation, like you're saying, I like to like if I know something coming next week on Saturday and I have something to do Saturday and I know it's an event or however, I gotta work on having that message done before Saturday evening.
Yeah.
Or so now I'm gonna prepare and make sure I try to get it done on Thursday or Friday so I can have my Saturday free.
That's right.
So all that is in the preparation. So if it's Friday and somebody say, "Can you come here tomorrow?" and I ain't did the message, I'm gonna be like, "Well, I got to study first. It all depends on if I finish the message, you know?"
Yeah.
Yep.
And you just said something as far as like, you could have something planned or prepared, but if God says, look, this ain't, you got to do something else. How are you in that position or that mindset? Because I think that's, a lot of people have a hard time just being able to discern and listen.
Yeah.
How do you put yourself in that position to be, all right, God, I hear you, even though.
Oh man, listen, man. I mean, a preacher only preach what he live, right? And I feel like we guinea pigs sometimes,
Yeah.
and they'll hit you with a ton of bricks. Like some of the messages that I preach to some of the things that of course we go through, right? So I preached a message called "It's Not Meant to Be Done Alone."
Yeah.
You can't have it both ways. It's not up to you, no matter how much you try, it ain't up to you,
Yeah.
So a lot of times we preach to ourselves too. It's a double-edged sword, right?
Yeah.
And so sometimes it just hits you like a ton of bricks. Like the other day, since I knew Christmas was coming a couple of years ago, I preached a message called "The Gift That Keeps on Giving."
Yeah.
Right. And so all week I'm thinking I'm gonna preach that again. Right. Saturday come and he just says the gift. That's it.
That's it.
So I wrote ended up writing a whole new message, right? But for the last 8 years, I've been preaching out of John 3:16 on Christmas service. I mean, the Sunday before Christmas been John 3:16, but different messages.
Yeah. Wow.
But you just you know it when you know it.
Right.
So I don't worry about it no more. I just be going about my day, and he'll give me the message, and I'm like, wow. Because if he don't give it to you, you're going to be struggling trying to prepare it if you trying to force one.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And I've been there myself just when it comes to just writing, because that's just a space where I'm like in right now as far as just writing. And I seem like a lot of stuff that I've been writing is stuff that I'm actually experiencing, going through, or seeing others go through, and just having that communication where we're actually talking about it. And I was like, man, this is some good stuff right here. This is some good stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people ask me that too with me writing, because, I'm an author and wrote a couple of books, and they were like, how you got time to write? But I will brainstorm. I will put little ideas on my notes on my phone. Then when it's time to write, I go over them notes that I put, and I just elaborate more on it. Right. When I travel on an airplane, if I got 3-4 hours or whatever on the plane, I spend that time writing in my book.
Yeah.
And hey, the book get finished when it get finished, but
that's right.
I'm writing it, like even now, I'm writing a book now, but it's taking time,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just that right there, the whole airplane and just traveling, it seemed like those are some of the best times that I could just like get some reading in, get some writing in. And so it made me think about it. It made me think about a question to ask you. It's okay. There's a difference between isolation, where you're just like isolated and from everything else, and that could be bad because now you're putting yourself in a position where you're just alone, and you're separating yourself from other people. But then you have solitude. And solitude is like, okay, I'm about to use this time to, to rest or just be productive or just kind of talk with God. Can you like talk a little bit about like like just some of the things that you've actually seen or maybe have experienced between people who are isolating themselves compared to being in that position of just solitude?
Mm-hmm. Compared to being in the position of solitude where they're using that isolation
Yeah.
time
Yeah.
to work or to meditate.
To meditate and just kind of work on self.
Because I mean, when I'm thinking about it, you're like, when you're on an airplane, it's almost like you forced to be isolated. You kind of forced to be like, what I'm going to do, either sleep or am I going to be productive with my time? Am I going to read a book, get more knowledge? Am I going to go catch up on the things that I've been not doing? Yeah. That's a good time to do that. Now, the other part of it, when you not on a plane and all that kind of stuff, and it's all chaotic going on around, how do you get to that isolation point? That's that point of the meditation. That best time for me be in the morning.
Yeah.
That 5 a.m. when everybody's asleep and everything and it's peaceful. And now you meditating or you reading and things like that. But that's the part where it's you have to take the step to get that to happen, besides being on a plane where I like I said, it's kind of forced isolation.
Yeah.
Compared to you taking that time.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah. But and that goes with how God sometimes deal with us. I mean, if you got to get that isolation time, some people take that to hear from him. So if we ain't taking it on our own, I'm gonna sit you down somewhere to make you focus on me. Especially when you chosen and when he choose you for something,
Yeah. Yep. Yep. And I know sometimes that people it's like you got to get sick in order to get to that place.
Yeah.
Actually just be alone and just kind of take care of business, whether it's just reading or just being in a place where you just need to slow down because you're on the go so much and you're not even really accomplishing anything, but it's like, boom, I'm about to slow your butt down.
A pastor friend of mine told me, always be in the position to hear from God.
Yeah.
Every week you got to preach, so you always got to be in position to hear from God. And it'd be amazed. I mean, some of the things that come, like my hip been bothering me, right?
Yeah.
For a week now. I mean, it's better now. But there's a story in the Bible when Jacob wrestled with God and his hip was out of place, right? And God changed his name to Israel. So the other day, with my hip hurting, God gave me a message to preach for New Year's Eve.
Wow.
And that message is called, God is getting ready to change my name. God is getting ready to change my name. Wow. Because my hip was bothering me. So now developing the story of Jacob with the hip and everything, right? But what is your hip issue? What are you wrestling with God with?
Right.
You're wrestling, you're going through something because God is getting ready to change your name.
Yeah.
So that's how it works. I'll be just always having my eye open and he'll speak to me.
Right.
Yeah.
Man, when you asked that question right now, I was like, man, what are some of the things you're wrestling with, Dio? So I started thinking about myself, right? And it's like really like just kind of getting to a place where, okay, God has called you to do something, even though you don't know what it looks like. It's because it's going to take you to take some bold steps. But the thing is just to remember is that he's always right there with you, especially if he's actually giving you something to do. He's right there with you. He ain't going to let you fail. You might go through some hardships or whatever, some struggles, and you go through the fire a little bit. But man, what happens when we get out that fire?
Your go.
Yep. Yeah.
I wrestle with the call to answer for preaching, of course. And I went through fire. I mean, because when we wrestle with God, it's because you feeling like I ain't gonna be able to have no fun. All my people doing this, I won't be able to do that no more. And so you trying to get it all in real quick before you answer,
Yeah.
And then that whole wrestling moment, now is you going to jail, is you getting speed tickets, is you getting diseases, is you getting this happening to you. Like, man, because you've been chosen and you've been wrestling, you're trying to change your name.
Yes, man.
Yeah.
Can you share like a time where you actually like I guess like a specific moment where you just had to dig in deep and because you were just being tested. I know we're all resilient people, but like
Uh-huh.
How are you actually able to like just learn from whatever it was that you were going through and just, incorporate that faith and overcome it?
Hey, I'm in that moment now. But no, God always comes. I seen, and again, having a spiritual eye open, I seen something the other day on Facebook. It was like a story of the devil and Jesus, and the devil was saying, can I tempt him with financial hardship? Yes.
Yeah.
Can I tempt him with lust? Yes. Can I take this from him? Yes. Can I do this to him? Yes. And it was like, and it was at the end, the answer basically was why. And Jesus said, because he's my son.
Yeah.
Like, in other words, I know he gonna make it through.
Yeah.
So go on and do all what you want to do to him.
Yeah.
But he gonna make it through because he's my son. No matter how far out he get, I'm gonna reel him back in.
Mm-hmm.
In the end, he gonna come to his senses in the end. He think he getting somewhere.
Right.
I make it away this time. No, come on back here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I remember a time when I had when, as I mentioned before, having 8 barbershops
Mm-hmm.
and having 2 rental properties. COVID happened, and I had to close all 8 barbershops. Me and my partners had to close down the shops because we wasn't considered essential.
Yeah.
We had 2 rental properties, my wife and I, and my renters stopped paying rent, and we couldn't evict them. Now you got about $13,000-$15,000 worth of money bills. What you gonna do?
Yeah.
And that's just a household. That ain't counting your leases at the shops and all that kind of stuff, right? So what you gonna do?
Yeah.
And that was a point right there. Like, wow.
Yeah.
And then that's when
that's
God,
a straight Job moment right there, brother.
right? And so then a friend of mine had already told me about this business, financial business, and that made me take it that much more serious.
Yeah.
And I took that business serious, and 4 months later made a great amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
My first 12 months made over 6 figures, right? And
yeah.
Kept going, man. And now 4 years later, here I am, financial guy. And now the barbershops, we have 4 of them left now,
mm-hmm.
but I only cut hair 1 day a week now, as I mentioned. God opened up this door when all of it was closing, but it had to come from the steadfast faith. Where, as you said, don't get weary in well doing, but you shall reap your reward if you faint not.
Yeah.
And he says that it's impossible to please him without faith.
Yeah.
But he's a rewarder to those that diligently seek him. So I'm going to reward you for your faith.
Yeah.
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 And
speaking on that, I mean, I want to like tap into that, like that whole financial piece also. But do you think, because I know a lot of times, okay, people are just in a place of they already have like a level of comfort. So they don't take things as seriously, or they just might have that I guess that mindset, that entrepreneurial spirit, right? To actually see and to attack, because you have to be a go-getter as an entrepreneur. You just can't be waiting on things. But do you think that at that time you were kind of like in a place of like desperation where you're like, okay, it's like sink or swim time. Our backs are against the wall. We don't have no choice.
Yeah, that's how I felt. They locked me up in my garage. We couldn't go nowhere. And so I said that too. I said, you cannot lock up an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
You go think of something. Right. You go figure it out. And that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, though, so many people are with the mindset of work mentality. A lot of people want to be told what to do. They want that comfort zone. I just go punch a clock from 9 to 5. I know I'm getting a check coming. And they just rather stay in that rat race of that, and only to retire with nothing, or only to retire and got to go back to work later because they didn't do anything else, Yeah. But that's how we were raised and trained to do. Go to school, get a good education, get a job, get you a 401k, and just live life. But an entrepreneur go break those barriers. Like, hold on, I ain't going to college.
Yeah,
I'm going to start this.
That's right.
Yeah. I don't need a 401k. I'm going to save my own money in this.
That's right.
I'm going to invest in real estate, and when you break that barrier and become that entrepreneur, you be like, wow, I was tripping when I was working. So, and then you look at everybody else like, y'all tripping. You can break out of that. See, a lot of people feel like I need a job with benefits, the hospital and all that kind of, you could get your own benefits. I got my own benefits and it ain't much on a monthly. I got
Right.
Kaiser, go to Kaiser, me and my whole
Yeah.
family. So,
Right.
but it's just when you don't think it can be done.
Right.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, I mean, like, I know a lot of people kind of like what you were just talking about is, as far as like just kind of growing up, you've been taught this old method and, just get you some security. And then when you put yourself in that position, you end up having to work, 30 plus years.
Yeah.
And, once you retire, what you're going to get, you're going to get that handshake, you might get a pen or whatever. Thank you for your years of service, right? In pensions, that stuff is like fading away. I'm thankful I got a pension, in place, but at the same time, I'm kind of like you, I'm like, what? How can I just like be in this place where I can just leverage everything that God has gifted me with, talent wise, gift wise, that he's put in my spirit to kind of just take out there. Well, I don't have to be relying on nobody else, right? Because like you're saying, it's like, okay, this Christmas, I got to work Christmas.
Yeah.
Because I'm working for somebody else. But you work for yourself.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I mean, I could travel when I want.
Right.
Only thing be getting me even on that traveling is I got to be back by Sunday to preach.
Right.
Unless I have, so that be that. But other than that, I could switch my days around, So like this week, I'm cutting tomorrow instead of Thursday because it's Christmas Eve. So now I'll be off Thursday, Friday, and Saturday before I preach. So I got about 3 days to prepare the message.
Yeah. So how are you actually sharing like the financial literacy with people? Like, what are some of the main things that you actually see people struggle with the most and getting them to think of other options outside of what they've been taught?
Cold part, I think people struggle with the most is believing in themselves with it. Because when I share things, they so enlightened about it and they on fire and they want it. And then after they say they want it and they go through and all of a sudden this happened, this came up, I ain't got this, or something happened. Or somebody, but what it is, sometimes they let people get in their ear and talk to them, but they didn't see what you saw.
Yeah.
And so now now you ain't moving forward with what you seen that you knew was good for you, The other thing is that it's so sad too that as us as African Americans, just lacking of financial literacy. If you look at the net worth of a Black family in America on average, $24,000. Compared to a white family, 190,000 is their average net worth, right? But we one of the biggest consumers. We just don't know how to save. And then it's kind of tough because a lot of us don't trust us.
Yeah.
And so I'm sharing some great stuff with you. I got to do my research. Let me go and do this. And that, and where you go do your research at?
Right.
And so I tell people, I have all these barbershops. I got a gang of 5 stars, right? But we got some 1 star sometime.
Yeah.
So it all depends on what review you see. And then sometimes too, we all have independent barbers. So one barber mess up a cut, it's going to give the whole barbershop the bad name.
Right.
And it's the same thing in anything. So in the financial world, you have some agents that give the industry a bad name. They do the wrong policies,
Right. Yeah.
Yes. Yep. Other thing is, one more thing in the financial world is that sometimes, just think of this. I'm a life insurance agent, right? Life, health, accident. I get you a policy and you get a policy for $500,000.
Yeah.
And your payment is $55 a month. But then you go across something, a hardship or something happen and you let the policy go instead of letting the dinner a month go or something, or a couple going out a couple months. That $55 gets you $500,000 over here.
Yeah.
And so that part be like, wow, you just threw away $500,000.
Yeah. Priorities, right? Priorities. Yes. Or just chasing after the wind, chasing some material possession that's not even gonna yield you any kind of return whatsoever.
Yeah. Like when I see my money come out my account monthly, I just look at it and say, okay, wow, like at least it's going to something.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Generational wealth, legacy planning. Some people don't want to leave nothing behind for nobody though, too.
Yeah. And that's interesting because I was reading that book by James E. Hughes, Family Wealth.
Uh-huh.
And he talked about, legacy building and what you actually have to do. And so I think one of the interesting things that stuck out to me was how he talked about you have to train people in your family and get them to a point where they're actually vested in the company business, where they're actually learning. So if you have like some kind of policy or whatever it is, everybody has an active role in this family business. But the cold part is what he talked about. He's like, some of these people, some of these families that I'm working with, first of all, he ain't working with nobody whose net worth is less than 250 mil. And so if you got somebody that you're working with and their family or their kids are just like, they out there, they have no interest whatsoever, but they're going to want that money when it's time, that inheritance. It's like somebody winning a lottery ticket who ain't got no financial discipline.
Yeah.
That I see why so many people give to philanthropists. They just give their money out or give their money away.
One way you can do it is get that living trust and put your trust as a beneficiary, and then have stipulations on that money for that wayward child. You can't touch it until you do this.
Yeah.
Or you got this amount of time to touch it, or it's going to go over to this.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's important right there. Just that trust, having that trust. And that's another component right there that many people aren't aware of. I mean, they hear of them, but they don't know much about them.
Yeah. And we do the living trust as well. I'm working with some people now that's getting some in.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. Living trust, rollovers, all of it. Full financial services, credit repair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when you think about like the event that we had or that we were both at, the Toys for Tots that was sponsored by Salesians Boys and Girls Club, you had many people like the vendors out there with, you got Ron Jeezy with P2K. Yeah. You had Shani from Melanin with her organization that kind of helped. Everybody just had a piece of it. And then you had your booth set up.
Yeah.
Where you had the financial literacy part, but you also had the booth with just cutting the kids' hair, people's hairs for free. Yeah. Like you said, it's $60 a pop.
Yeah.
You just think about the service part of that though. Like, how do you think that's actually like just kind of contribute to your overall success?
The Bible says that I never seen the righteous forsaken or their children begging bread, right?
Yeah.
Jesus said, when you give unto others, you give unto me. Don't worry about it. I'll repay you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's better to give than to receive. And so I look at it as I'm cutting those free heads and doing what we do, the blessings be right around the corner. Yeah. Like one time I did something, even at church, I'm paying my tithes and I put my money in the church. I got home and somebody sent me $500 in my account. So it'd be stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
And God always just make a way out of no way. But when it's the opposite, then all of a sudden deals that probably would have went through, not going through. It's kind of like favor, the favor kind of, You start getting these deals out of nowhere as God's showing you, I'm going to continue to bless you because you continue to bless others.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think sometimes people actually have like that, the wrong expectation though? Or motives thinking that, okay, well, God said if I do such and such, He gonna bless me with this, or I'm gonna get this. But it's not about our timing. It's about God's timing. He gonna do what He wants to do, because sometimes the motives can be wrong.
That's right.
So do you ever come across those type of people, or just when it kind of comes to tithing, right? It's like.
I have a client that came into my shop one time, like, man, like, I see God doing it for you. I'll be doing this, but He don't do that for me. I always give to the poor. Are you giving expecting it? Like, are you giving it to be like, man, I know I'm going to do this because God go do this for me. We can't put God in the box and a genie, right?
Right.
But I think it's over time, like back in the day. See, I'm 45 now. So when I was in barber college, I was like 20 years old. And a lot of the people there would be like, man, how God give you the money back after you pay your tithes? I said, He just do. You just got to start paying your tithes and it come back to you.
Yeah.
at first I had that wrong. My mama used to tell me you get the money back. And I thought you write it off on taxes and get it back.
Yeah.
And I was shocked one year. I said, what? But anyhow, I used to put $2 in church. And when I was a barber, then I started putting $20 in church, and then I just started putting more, right? And one day I was walking down the street and I found an envelope on the ground. And in that envelope, it had I found a wallet. And I was like, anybody wallet? And nobody was claiming a wallet.
Yeah.
So I went ahead and opened it, had $800 in there.
Wow.
And it had nowhere to return it. It wasn't no ID or nothing. It just had a name in there that said James on a piece of paper. But it wasn't nowhere to return it. So I kept the money. And then I went back to barber college. I said, this how you get it. Like, God, he always make a way. And I had my son at the time, and I needed something for his diapers and all that stuff. And here come the money. Yep.
Man.
But all that was just strengthening my faith walk, you know?
Yeah. I know, right?
One thing after another.
That's a lot too. So when it comes to just your business though, how do you, like, the business, your ministry, even home life, how do you get this stuff to like a place where you like, this stuff right here has to thrive in a way that I need it to. So it's like,
hey, it's always an up and down roller coaster. With like the barbershop, for instance, our shop in Tracy, we had like, right now I think we got about 20 people in there, or 18, but we had about 22 at one point. But then you have, after you done develop barbers and they done grown in your shop, they got clientele and all that kind of stuff. Now they leave. And now they clients leave with them.
That's right.
And so now it's kind of like your shop kind of got slow again, because now you got to rebuild with these new barbers and that kind of stuff. So you have that going, and that's that resilience got to kick in. Like, I got to keep on pushing and keep going. Right.
Yeah.
And then, with the home, so kind of lost train of thought. What was the main question on it?
Like, how do you get it to, just a place where it's actually just to continue to thrive? Yeah.
So that's it. I mean, to keep continuing to thrive, you got to keep on promoting, got to keep on getting new, when the barbers leave, find a new barber and train that person up. You got to pass out flyers and all that kind of stuff to kind of get that going. Same thing in the financial world. Like, even now, the business I'm in, I have about 180 business partners in the financial world. And sometimes it take you to slow down to train them, and in the midst of it, your production goes down. So now you gotta hold on. I gotta put y'all aside real quick and get back on my production to get the money back up until it all flows again. You know, and so it's just a constant. I believe it's just a constant work again.
Yeah,
consistency is key. Doing the same thing over and over again. Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
You mentioned, like, when we were talking earlier, just about, just the whole financial piece, real quick. And sometimes you could share, and then these people might go to their friends, start talking to their friends about it. And then all of a sudden they have people up in their ear who don't even have the expertise, and they probably broker than this other person that they get, who's actually share whatever you share with them. And you just talk about the power of associates and environment. And here we are, both part of King's Accountability Group. Like, how important is just being a part of a group of people who actually have that mindset, even though everybody might not be in the same place where you are, but everybody's positive, everybody's uplifting each other, everybody's encouraging. And you got a bunch of men who are part of this organization, and there's no competition whatsoever. One that's rare, but how important is it just to be a part of an organization? Like that.
That's very important. Like, before, because I come from the streets of Oakland, and peers, with what they was on, robbing, how to get money real fast, all that kind of stuff, right? And you always knew who you were, inside. You always knew, like, God got something special for me. I got to keep on. But you around it all, but you just kind of know how far to go and all that kind of stuff, right? So my point is, you would around that type, you dim your light a little bit, right?
Right.
Instead of shining bright, basically, your light is a little dim. But when you get with the right group, when you get with like-minded individuals, you could shine as bright as you want to shine.
Yeah.
You know, because there's other stars that's shining with you. You know, instead of, some people, oh, you think you better than everybody. Are you just better than, nah, but when you get with the right group, we all growing together, you can shine as bright as you want to shine. So it's very important to have the right people around you.
Yeah, it sure is.
Networking. They say cash flow is king. Net worth is kingdom. You know? Because see, what happens is the king, when he died, the cash died. But if you built a network and you have your whole team that's rolling or however, you die, it continues to go.
There you go, huh?
Yeah.
That's powerful right there. That's powerful. You just think about, was it Sam Walton, right? The one who created Walmart.
Uh-huh.
I mean, he passed away, but the business continues to go.
That's right.
Or you think about I'm not saying Colonel, Ray Kroc with
Ray Kroc about KFC?
Ray Kroc with McDonald's. How he started that. McDonald's is still flourishing, and they in like every country that you can actually think of.
I give me an oatmeal there on every other Friday.
But
hey, just think, he started that at like 53 years old.
Yeah. Success has no limitations.
That's right.
Yep. So real quick, man, can you share like just a personal story or a triumph that you've actually had?
Well, I got to tell this story, I guess, because this is how I got to the barbering. I had a model that I was supposed to take to get my barber license. This was really the start of my faith too, Derek. My barber instructor kept telling us, make sure you get a model before you go take your test. So I had a model 3 months before, like, I'm going to pay you $100 to come be my model. He grew his hair out and everything, right?
Yeah.
The night before the test, I went to get him and he wasn't answering the door.
Wow.
And so a guy that was with me said, man, let's pray about it. You always say you're a man of faith. So I went ahead and prayed about it, went around Oakland, asking anybody, would that be my model? A lot of them told me no. I got to West Oakland. The guy said, man, I feel your blessing about to come on. Do you feel it? As soon as I really believed within the inside, and I said, yeah, I feel it. It was a homeless man on the corner. Said, hey, you got some change? So I hit a U-turn, pull over. I said, hey, yeah, man, you got hair on your head? I said, yeah, I do. I said, hey, I'm looking for a model that go with me to take my state test. And I need somebody to go. Can you go with me to Fairfield? He said, yeah, I'll go. Just buy me a 6-pack. I'm like, all right. I said, do you got some hair on your head? He took his head off, man. Listen, he had a head full of hair on his head.
Yeah.
And so then I said, you have your ID? He said, yeah, I got my veteran ID. He's an old vet. I said, okay. Wow. And then he said, and I have a Bible too.
Wow.
He put out a New Testament Bible that was in his back pocket and showed me. And so he got my car, long story short, took him, got my barber license. And that was the start of my faith that really took my faith to a whole nother level.
Wow.
And I ended up writing that called The Power of God. And I ended up getting it. It was all in the newspapers. Matter of fact, it's in my book. This is my book right here called Don't Give Up on Your Dreams. Inspire Yourself by Gaining Wisdom. Right?
Yeah.
But the story of that story, let me see, it's right here. That homeless man in the middle.
Wow.
So everything I do, I kind of carry that with me to let people know, what had happened and what faith looks like.
Yeah.
So that resilience there, with me closing down the shops and then just stepping out on faith, knowing who you are. Because again, after I got my bachelor's degree from college in business management, I was trying to get a job and nobody was hiring me. And so I ended up going to 7-Up and getting a job at 7-Up. And about 3-4 months into it, it kind of hit me. And it was like, what are you doing here?
Yeah. Yep.
This ain't no future. What you gonna do? You got your bachelor's degree and people here making more money than you. Why are you here?
Yeah.
So I went to my supervisor, Derek, and I said, hey, I'm putting in my 2-week notice. I quit. And then I called my cousin and I said, hey, I ain't never working for nobody again in my life. I'm done.
Wow.
I took my money, went to barber college, and the rest is history. Never looked back.
Ooh, that's an inspiring story right there.
Yeah, never looked back, man. I got it. Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. But ladies and gentlemen, y'all heard it first from Dr. Joe Cannon on Why Not You. Man, that was good stuff, brother. I appreciate you coming on.
Yes, sir. Thank you, man.
That's good.
And well, the name of the barbershop is KJ's. Everything we do, keeping Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
The business team legacy, represent God, the Lion of Judah, shield of faith, and we focus and determine like lions. Put God first in everything we do. As even the company that we with WFG, I say it stands for working for God, right?
Yeah, right.
And as you all know, I have a lot of knowledge from some of the things that I am involved in, and so using my name, a play on the name, I say Joe knows credit, Joe knows God, Joe knows money, Joe knows the barber game, Joe knows real estate, whatever, right? And you can find out a lot more on the website at joeknowsllc.com.
There you go. There you go. What about Instagram? You on Instagram, Facebook?
On Instagram, it's JoeCan_entrepreneur.
Okay. Cool.
JoeCan_entrepreneur. And then Facebook is Joseph Cannon.
Got it.
That's my government name,
That's
right?
his government name.
And Joseph means what? God shall add.
There you
Yes, God shall add.
There it is.
Yeah, but thanks for having me on the show, man. Appreciate it.
Man, I appreciate you.